How I want people to feel in the space. Do they want to be calm, uplifted, curious, or restored? Well, I think one of the main things is that nature can trigger creative thinking through visual variety. In other words, natural patterns, textures, colors, they all stimulate the brain differently from artificial environments, helping us sort of unlock those fresh ideas and encourage divergent thinking. We also know that being in nature reduces stress. So that frees cognitive space. So time spent in and around nature, it lowers our cortisol levels, allowing the brain to shift from survival mode to creative exploration. Also, we know that it boosts our mental clarity and our focus. So, exposure to greenery and natural light improves concentration and reduces mental fatigue, and making it easier, therefore, to problem solve and become sort of innovative. It also encourages reflection and imagination. So, natural environments invite those moments of quiet contemplation, which is often when those breakthrough ideas happen. Also, it activates the brain's default mode network. In other words, sort of gentle stimulation from nature, things like rustling leaves, flowing water, etc. They activate a part of the brain linked to storytelling. So visualization comes through, and then idea generation as well. Also, observing those sort of natural intricate systems from seasonal cycles to plant growth, they spark curiosity, and they also encourage, anyone really to think differently about systems and processes or whatever their work actually involves. It also provides a sense of scale and perspective. So sort of being outdoors reminds us individuals of a world beyond deadlines and spreadsheets, allowing broader, more strategic thinking to emerge. And natural environments do often create a relaxed, open atmosphere that supports better conversation, team connection, and idea exchange. To throw in sort of loads and loads of houseplants as well at the same time, and you're sort of getting a double whammy. We also know that nature offers solutions which have, they've been perfected over millions of years, which of course has led to innovations in things like architecture, engineering, technology, and product design. And then I suppose finally what I would say is that we know that nature really sort of enhances emotional well-being. So, a positive mood is directly linked to sort of creative performance. Natural elements in the workplace improve overall happiness, leading to more creative output and engagement. I would say that a well-designed environment promotes positive emotions, reducing anxiety and promoting a sense of calm, which boosts overall well-being. Also, natural light, clean air, and ergonomic design, they sort of reduce cognitive load, helping the brain to focus more effectively on complex tasks. Also, environments that incorporate nature, sort of quiet zones or calming color palettes, they help regulate stress levels, allowing anyone or employees to work more sustainably throughout the day. And also adequate temperature, so adjustable seating, good posture support, and movement friendly workspaces, they prevent physical discomfort that would otherwise hinder productivity. And spaces that really allow easy movement and offer different work settings, such as, quiet pods or collaboration areas or even outdoor seating. They really help stimulate energy and creativity. Also, it stimulates creativity through design. In other words, environments that incorporate natural materials, those green spaces, art, or views of nature create inspiration and a sense of purpose. And when employees, when they choose where and how they work within a space, they feel more empowered which positively affects motivation and output when they're surrounded by nature and greenery. And also, from my perspective, inclusive design is really important, and that really reflects a company's values and employee needs, which makes individuals feel valued, and psychologically safe, enhancing engagement. And I suppose finally, I would say that a supportive environment naturally encourages positive habits, such as taking breaks, staying hydrated, and interacting with colleagues, which all contribute to well-being and productivity. So this was a difficult one to have to think about, but I would say that really it starts with emotion, not form. So in other words, I always begin by asking how I want people to feel in the space. Do they want to be calm, uplifted, curious, or restored? Creativity for me is always rooted in emotional resonance, and my design process begins with deep observation. The patterns of light, seasonal movement, and the natural character of the land provide that initial spark for creative direction. And I often say to clients, I need to go and sit in the garden all on my own. I close my eyes and I listen. And that's all I do. And it's one of those very simple things to do. And I suppose creativity is not just visual, it's conceptual. So I combine horticultural science, architectural structure, and artistic intuition to achieve both beauty and function. And rather than imposing a design on a client, I treat each project as a dialogue with nature, discovering what the space is already trying to become. So I view constraints, whether they're physical, environmental, or budgetary, as opportunities to think differently and push those creative boundaries. And my inspiration does come from art, music, architecture, and history, as much as from plants and gardens. And that cross-pollination of ideas sort of keeps my creativity fresh and I think sort of multi-dimensional as well. And creative decisions are guided very much by how people would engage with that space. So from the journey through it to the moments of stillness, surrounded by plants, which makes you feel calm and relaxed. And creativity is an evolving process. It's not just going to happen straight away. I'm continuously sketching, testing ideas, refining and revisiting the emotional intention of that design. And I see gardens as living artworks that change across time. So creativity lies in shaping those transitions to reflect the cycle of life, growth and renewal. And every element must have a reason to exist, whether it's ecological, sensory, it's symbolic. And creativity to me is about storytelling through landscape. Well, first of all, I hope they enjoy them. That's one of the main things. But I suppose inspiring them to engage with gardening is one of the big ones. So encouraging audiences to explore gardening as a creative, therapeutic, and an enjoyable activity, and also demonstrating that gardening is accessible to all, regardless of experience, space, age, ability, or resources. Also appreciation for design and aesthetics, so highlighting the beauty, balance and artistry, which is inherent in thoughtful garden design, and also showing how design principles can transform outdoor spaces into functional, harmonious environments, but also raising awareness of sustainability and ecology. So educating on the importance of biodiversity, climate resilience, and sustainable practices in gardening, and inspiring audiences to make choices that support pollinators, wildlife, and long-term ecological health. I suppose there's also practical knowledge and skills, so providing clear, actionable advice that audiences can implement in their own gardens, and offering tips on planting, maintenance and design that empower those individuals to go away and take control of their own green spaces. I suppose there's also confidence as well in experimentation, so encouraging people to try new ideas, take design risks and personalize your garden without the fear of failure. and demonstrating the learning through trial, observation and adaptation is part of the gardening journey. There's also that sort of connection with nature and well-being. So, emphasizing the emotional, the mental and the physical benefits of engaging with gardens and green spaces, and inspiring audiences to see gardens as spaces for reflection, mindfulness, and also community. Gardening is brilliant. You can do it on your own or you can do it in a group. There's also that respect for garden history and tradition. So sharing insights on historical styles, traditional heritage, traditional techniques, and cultural influences in garden design, which hopefully allows audiences to go away and appreciate that while integrating modern approaches. There's that empowerment, and accessibility is a big one. So sort of advocating for inclusive garden design that accommodates different abilities and needs, and inspiring confidence that everyone can create these meaningful, functional and beautiful gardens regardless of personal limitations. And then I suppose a passion for continuous learning. I'm still learning. There's so much in gardening to learn, and it's therefore instilling sort of a curiosity for plants, design, and ecological systems, and encouraging audiences to keep exploring, asking questions, and growing their knowledge over time. And finally, I would say community engagement and collaboration. So, in other words, highlighting the social and communal aspects of gardening, from local projects to shared green spaces, and inspiring audiences to collaborate, share their knowledge and build supportive gardening networks. It's one of the most wonderful things about horticulture and gardening in general, is that people just want to impart their knowledge and share it with others.